today. So Dr. Anand is an assistant professor. She brings a broad experience in clinical practice, healthcare, administration, and health policy and regulation in both the public and private sectors. She earned her medical degree from the UAE University and completed her postgraduate training in family medicine, for which she is certified by the Arab Board and is a member of the Royal College of General Practitioners. Dr. Al-Swadi is also holds a master's in public health from the Haman Mohammed Smart University and a diploma in diabetes management from the UAE University. She is a founding partner and consultant of family physician with United Medical, a physician lead ambulatory care center in Dubai, where she also serves as the chief operating officer. During her tenure with the Dubai Health Authority, Dr. Hanan was instrumental in several strategic and operational initiatives for healthcare funding, including the design and implementation of the first national government-based health insurance scheme in Dubai. Most recently, and shortly after joining the MBRU, Dr. Al-Swadi made history by being the first Emirati space flight physician to support the UAE's first mission to the International Space Station, scheduled for launch last September 2019. In 2020, Dr. Al-Swadi was elected as the chair of the testing stream at the COVID-19 Command and Control Center, overseeing the COVID-19 testing efforts in Dubai. So please, everyone, give a warm welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, distinguished guests, speakers, space enthusiasts, students, and friends. On behalf of our family, I would like to welcome you all to the Mohammed bin Rashid University of Medicine and Health Sciences. I'm so pleased that the Space Generation Congress is hosted here at the MBRU and in Dubai. The energy before we come in was really amazing. This year in the UAE, we celebrate our Golden Jubilee, 50 years of historical achievements, and prepare and look forward to another 50 of unleashing the potential for growth and prosperity for our citizens, residents, and humanity. Today, space exploration is translated and demonstrated in various forms, from the expansion of our UAE astronauts program to our aspiring Mars and Emirates lunar mission and the recently announced mission to Venus. I'm reminded of the wise words of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, when he said, "Our exploration of space is only beginning. More missions are on the way. We will continue investing in building our space science, engineering, astronauts, and spacecraft. A big number of the stars in our night sky are named in Arabic. Once again, the Arabs can look to the stars." We are gathered here today to share the passion for space, exchange knowledge, and enjoy the curiosity for the unknown. 2 years ago, I was honored to be part of the UAE's landmark mission to send the first Emirati astronaut, Heza Al-Mansoori, into space in 2019. To be selected as the UAE flight surgeon looking after Heza's health throughout his journey and his well-being on board of the International Space Station. The experience and journey were absolutely unforgettable. The passion, the curiosity, the perseverance for space discovery continue to grow and impact our life on Earth every day. We are blessed with the support of our leadership. Our scientists in the UAE are making history and breaking glass ceilings on different frontiers. I hope this Congress is an opportunity for us to work together and make a lasting impact on the future of space exploration. Once again, I welcome you to Dubai, and I wish you all an enjoyable and successful event. Thank you so much.
It's going to be a last picture or it's a last?
Yeah, it's a last picture.
Ready?
One more. One more. One, two. Oops. One last one. One, two.
Thank you so much.
And now's the time where I wish I came up with space trivia facts to stall, but I don't have any, so no, it's all good. Thank you so much, Dr. Hanan Al-Swadi, for welcoming us to Dubai and welcoming us to MBRU. It's a really beautiful venue. I think everyone can agree. So just bear with us a few minutes. We're going to key up the next keynote speaker. So please, you have a few minutes to yourself. Thanks so much. Oh, I missed you too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
I can do the shield. Yeah. Well, just to take the picture. Like, well, I think we can take the picture over there. It's fine. If I could get everyone's attention back, please and thank you. Amazing. So we have our kickoff keynote speaker. I'm really excited to have someone from Planet being the keynote speaker, but I think I'm a bit biased because I work there. But we have Dr. Agnieszka Lukaszczyk here. She's a senior director for European Affairs at Planet. She's a Polish-American national and has worked at the European Commission, Directorate General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and SMEs, Space Data for Societal Challenges, and Growth Unit. She's also worked at the Directorate General for Enterprise and Industry, Space Policy and Research Unit. Before she joined the Commission, Agnieszka was the Brussels Office Director for the Secure World Foundation. In addition, she is the former chairperson and former executive director of the Space Generation Advisory Council in support of the United Nations Program on Space Applications. Thank you so much, Agnieszka, for your continued support of SGC. We are eternally grateful. Agnieszka also worked at the European Space Policy Institute as a research fellow. Agnieszka serves as the Vice President Europe for the World Space Week and sits on the board of directors for the Women in Aerospace Europe. She obtained a PhD in space security at the Polish University of War Studies. She also holds a master's degree from the Warsaw School of Economics and Management of Space in New Economics and a master's degree from the American University School of International Service in International Politics, plus a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Tennessee. She also studied at the Université Catholique de Louvain in Brussels, Belgium, the Jagiellon University in Krakow, Poland, and the World Trade Institute in Bern, Switzerland. She gained professional experience at the political section of the Polish Embassy in Washington, D.C., American Electronics Association in Brussels, European Department of the Polish Senate in Warsaw, and the Warsaw Business Journal. Thank you so much, Agnieszka, for being here. We're so happy to have plenty support and to welcome you to the stage.
Hi, thank you so much for this introduction. You really didn't need to read all of that. Some of these things are ancient. I didn't even remember when I did them. I need to probably update my bio. Apologies for being late, but had some issues this morning, and also I just noticed, I'm pregnant, and I've noticed that when you're pregnant, you're just simply slower. And you have this pregnant brain, they say. I'm in denial, pretending this is not a case, but I think it is for sure the case. Extremely happy to be here, especially being a keynote at Space Generation Congress, something that I used to organize. As Kelsey mentioned, I was the first ever executive director of SGC back in the day, when SGC was a very, very different organization. When we had no money, we were slightly illegal, and yeah, I can tell you some. I was gonna say I can tell you more stories of our drink, but then I remember I don't drink anymore because I'm pregnant. But I'll be back. I'll be back to some vino eventually. But yeah, those were very different times. So I'm so proud to see how SGC has grown. This has really been my baby. I have started working at SGC when I was in 2006, and it was my first job ever. And to be honest, I wasn't particularly interested in space, and I didn't know what it was. And when I graduated with my master's from American University in DC, as every graduate, I was applying left and right, hoping somebody will give me a chance. And apparently I applied for SGC, which to this day, I don't remember. And I remember when they sent me an email, Will Marshall, actually, who's the CEO of Planet, he was the chair of SGC at the time, he's one of the co-founders. And asked me for an interview, and I was like, so weird. Like, what is this space? My gosh, probably a bunch of Trekkie kids. Not sure, but so at the interview, what I did, which I will tell you, never do that at an interview. I told them that I'm the most incompetent person that they probably are interviewing, who say nothing about space, more than that I've never even seen Star Wars. Like, that's relevant, but I thought it was. But they said, no, we need somebody with policy background, come join us in Vienna. I didn't realize that actually the company was, the organization was, like I said, bankrupt and slightly illegal, and nobody wanted that job. But I thought, because it had that in support of the UN program on space applications, I thought it was actually like a UN agency. That's what I told everyone, and like my friends and family, that I'm going to work at the UN. And then I arrived in Vienna, and I realized, no, it's not a UN. I'm the only person there. Nobody knows what I'm really supposed to do, because we were hosted, or we are still at SB, and they didn't really know what I'm supposed to do. And the SGC management forgot to even leave me the password to the computer. So I was just sitting there, not knowing anything about space, not having access to a computer, and being, like I said, illegal, because at that time, as a Polish citizen, you couldn't legally work in Vienna. And of course, the chairs didn't quite figure that out. So those were the humble beginnings. And now, you guys are getting $1 million and just hanging out in Dubai, and it's pretty sweet, I was, when I was having David's job, David, I'm not going to ask you how much you make, but I was making 600 euros a month. And I'm sure you're making more than that, and good for you, because I think it's finally a real job. So it was the toughest experience for me to work at SGC, because it was really, really tough. I was accused at the UN COPUS by one distinguished delegate for being a spy for the CIA, which I thought was kind of cool. And because he didn't understand how a young girl could be like present at all these, fancy meetings, and he had to work his entire life. And here I am, clearly I was placed there. And one time I was stuck in the elevator, and I'm gonna get to the merit of my speech, but I think it's just really cool to share those stories. I got in the elevator with him at the UN, and it just happened there was just the two of us, and I just couldn't help myself. I looked at him and I was like, I don't know how you found out, but I'll be watching you. He didn't like that. And so that was SGC, but you know, SGC has changed my life. Like literally, like I said, I didn't even care about space before that. Look at me now, 16 years later, I'm still in the sector. I've never actually done anything else, and I'm a true believer. I've been brainwashed properly, but I think in a good way. And I can't imagine doing anything else. So I'm so glad for this opportunity. I've met my best friends at SGC. And as I don't know if many of you know this, but Planet was actually born at SGC. So Will Marshall was one of the co-founders. He met the other two co-founders, Robbie Schindler, American, so Will is British, American, and Chris was Southland Australian, who by the way, last week just went to space. Lucky. And they met at through SGC. They met in one of the congresses through SGC. They were both very, very active. I worked with both of them at the time. By the way, when they told me that they're going to start this company, that they had it years later, because when we met, obviously that wasn't even an idea. And I was just like, this is never going to work. Like they put SGC to bankruptcy. How are they going to run a proper business? Well, they did prove me wrong, didn't they? Which I'm very happy about. You know, Planet is going public in a couple of months, and this is huge. That means that we have grown up finally. And by the way, now Will Marshall pays me a little bit more than 600 euros per month. So I think it's a real job. So Planet. So you know, after SGC, I did many different things. I worked with the World Foundation, European Space Policy Institute, and the European Commission, and then Planet started operating in Europe. They acquired a company called Blackbridge, used to be Rapid Eye, and they're like, you know, we want somebody with European experience who knows the ecosystem, who knows the institutions, and knows us. So after thinking a lot, because you're working at the Commission, I don't know if you know much about it, but it's a golden cage. You don't pay taxes, you get a lot of money. It's a pretty sweet deal. You get a lot of good benefits, but then your wings are kind of clipped. And I knew that I wanted to grow. I was very passionate, and Planet was the place where I could do that. So I've joined them in 2017, and there were several reasons why I joined Planet, because you see, I was always in this NGO public sector world because I believed that space can truly make an impact. I always wanted to work on something that has a global impact, that actually makes life a little better, as cheesy as it sounds. And I thought, you know, industry, they're all about profits. I don't want to be part of that. But Planet is different. Planet is different because it is mission driven. And this is not just something we say, this is something really we do. Obviously, we have to make money. It's an expensive business space. And they have to pay me, Kelsey, and many other people. So we don't want them to go bankrupt, but it's not the end, it's a mean to an end. Our mission is really to make the world a bit better and to use these great technologies for benefit of humankind, and to demonstrate that these technologies are really, really useful. And they are. There have been studies done that 14 out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals can be helped by Earth observation alone. It's not a golden bullet, but it's part of the solution. So 14 out of 17, right? That's a lot. That means that we can really, truly have an impact, and we can really, truly influence what is happening in the world. And these guys have really thought about this, and they have, you know, now I told you we're going to be joining the New York Stock Exchange, and we are joining as PBC, a public benefit corporation. I don't know if you guys know what it is. There's only a few companies in the world that did that because it's much more difficult, and there are many more expectations when you're a PBC. You're not just responsible to your shareholders with your earnings, with your success, so that prices of shares go up, but you are also responsible to adhere to your mission. You have to. You are held to a higher standard. And I'm very happy that Planet decided to do that. It's going to mean a lot more work for us. But just by going to this exchange, we're not selling us. We're actually making our mission even more public. There's lots of criteria, ethical criteria, and impactful criteria that we have to make, and we are all going to work towards that in the public eye now. So I'm very excited about it. I'm a little bit scared because I'm sure we're going to make mistakes, but we really want to make sure that our mission is a valid, genuine thing, not just a statement on our website. So we're sponsoring a project group, a working group this year. It's focused on climate. And on one hand, you hear about climate change all the time now, right? It's such a trendy thing to work on. Yeah, climate, sustainability, biodiversity, the green transition. And so it makes sense to be part of that. But we don't do this because we're trendy. This is how our company responded. Because we really believe that, like I said, we can make an impact. And we're working with NGOs and other companies and governments to really make a change. Because with these big global issues, nobody can do it alone. So you cannot say, "Oh, my government is not doing anything." But what are you doing? How do you live your life? Do you silly things? But do you recycle? Where do you shop? Every dollar or euro, whatever currency you are working in, is a vote almost. What are companies doing? What is academia teaching and doing? We are all a piece of this big puzzle. And if you want to change the world, we have to do it together. And I think COVID was a great, well, don't put that on Twitter that I said COVID was great. Let me finish the sentence. COVID was not great, but what was great about it that it showed how quickly we can adapt and how quickly we can react as a humanity. Our lives have changed completely within 2 years. We've learned how to work from home. We've learned how to live a little bit differently, more responsibly. So we can do it. And it's shown, we actually have videos and images that show that during that time, during lockdowns, how cleaner the air has gotten, right? How there was less pollution. Obviously, the solution to climate change is not locking up everybody at home, but it just shows that we can adopt very quickly. But because COVID was happening right now, and we knew that we could be affected anytime, we reacted. But climate change, yes, it's real, but it's still decades, right? I mean, my life is still pretty normal. Yours is too when it comes to climate change. So people don't feel the urgency, but we have to, because with climate change, as opposed to with COVID, when we will feel the urgency, it's just going to be too late. So those of you who are part of that project, I'm really glad you're working on it. And we're super curious to hear your views and your results and your outputs, because we want to see how, what's fresh and how we can incorporate that. Those of you who are part of different projects, I don't know why, but good luck to you too. No, I'm just kidding. But I would really like to take this topic, whatever project you're working with, you're on, take this topic very seriously. And I think it's almost, when you look at these things like green transition, it's climate change, again, it's the buzzword, but it's really, I think what we need to focus on is the biodiversity loss. I think that's real urgency. Climate change, of course, but it's a lengthier process. Biodiversity loss is happening now. I mean, we have killed over 65% of species around the world. This is nuts. Like, I wonder, if my kid that when he's going to be older, is he going to be able to see certain things, certain species live that I have, or is it just going to be on pictures? It's funny when you think, you think a different perspective when you actually have a child, and you feel in a longer perspective because you want to make sure that he has a really good life and he has the opportunities that you do. And no, you don't have to get a kid to figure that out. But it really, for me, it really has given a perspective. I've been living so fast. My career has been such a priority to me. And I just been running, and now I'm kind of stopping slowly, and I'm just looking at the world around me, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'd rather do less but more important stuff and really focus on things that matter. Because before I wanted to do everything, I wanted to be everywhere. So pick your path, but don't be pressured. It took me, like I said, I didn't originally. Later on, like I received degrees in space-related topics, but originally I didn't study space, and here I am. So you don't have to have it all figured out. I don't know how many of your students, how many of your young professionals, but you don't have to have it all figured out. It comes, and try different things. Because I think by experience, you only figure out what really makes you tick. Like, for instance, when I was, in high school, I wanted to be a lawyer because I thought it was cool, and I wanted to be like in the courthouse arguing like in Law and Order, and I thought that would be really, really cool to put bad people behind bars. But then I had an internship over summer at a law firm, and I figured out how boring it is. And I'm sorry if there are lawyers. To me, it was boring because it was just most of it was paperwork, right? I mean, most of them don't even go to court. But it's a lot of time. I had a friend who really wanted to be a doctor, and his family was pushing him to be a doctor, and then he realized that it makes him like gag, like he doesn't like touch people. It's kind of a problem when you're a doctor. But his whole family was doctors, and that's what you need to do. So you just need to, try different things, have an open mind, and take things as they go. People ask me sometimes, and they also asked me when I was at SGC, where do you want to be in 10 years or 5 years? And I was like, I want to be happy and satisfied. That's all I knew, because the world is life is such a surprise, and it can go in so many different directions. If I had a child in my 20s, life would be completely different, right? If I had my 30s, it would be very different. So you shouldn't even plan, I think, sometimes. And I know this is like a kind of a scary advice that I'm giving you, because there are different schools. So some people, would tell you, you have to have a plan and then do everything in your life to lead you to that goal. My advice is screw it. Just go with the flow, because you might be so surprised. There might be really different things that will make you so much happy. You just simply don't know. And don't limit yourself to some 10-year plan that might not even work out. Because if it doesn't work out, which is, statistically very probably, you're gonna be very disappointed. So I'm so happy that I had this chance to explore, and now I'm really doing something I absolutely love. And people are asking me, because I'm traveling now a lot and working a lot, especially since I've been quite still during the pandemic, is that okay for a baby? Shouldn't you just come down? And I was like, I feel great, besides the brain, but I feel great. My doctor said it's great. I mean, if I can, why not? I mean, obviously there's going to be a point where I'm going to have to slow down, but, I want to try the little space cadet. Apparently he can hear already, so I'm hoping he's taking notes right now. And I'm not going to pressure him to be part of the space sector, probably. But SGC might be in the program, at least the Congress or two. So, yeah, I don't know. Do I have much? I don't have a clock, so I don't know if I'm over. Am I over time? I'm good. Okay. So I don't know. Do we have time to take some questions? Okay, this would be great, because I don't want to just talk at you. I would like to talk with you. So if you have any questions, and you can be provocative. I actually like that. Let me know. It can be about, SGC, planet, climate, babies, whatever you want.
So Agnieszka has a microphone right here. So if you have a question, please give her a wait, and she'll go directly towards you and ask yourself. Similarly, delegates online, Annie is behind the desk there watching for your questions, so she will relay your questions to the mic. Okay, great. Questions, everyone? Right, so Stevie, you said that you're probably the operator. And where have you been your funding from?
For what?
Funding for the companies, you make profits or
For Planet, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. This is a good question. Obviously, venture capital. So this was. This is kind of the kind of a new space way of doing business. So there was no government funding. We're not, and now we have government customers, but there was no government funding or government subsidies or grants. It was all venture capital. The guys were able to raise at the beginning, I think, nearly $100 million. I think it was like 96 or something. And it was a continuous funding. And obviously at the beginning, we did not. So the company was funded at the end of 2010. So let's say 2011. So quite young, and we're a young company still, and we only launched our first DOB, and we had our first operational constellation in 2014. So for 4 years, it was just costs, right? There was no revenues. And then the revenues started coming in, and each year we grow and grow. Last year, I can tell you now, at least we're not allowed to say that this is how we're going public. All our finances are public. So last year in 2020, we made 130 million. And the forecast is still we're going to grow in the next 3 years by 40%. So we'll see how it goes. But it was a big risk. I think it was like a 50-50 chance. There were a lot of companies that had that wanted to do something similar or whatever. These guys were pioneering it. A lot of people laughed in their face. They said, these shoebox, our satellites are 3U, right? So it's 30 by 10 centimeters, 3.5 meter resolution. We also have other larger constellations, but larger not in numbers, but in size of the satellite. But those came later. But the DOB, our baby, it's 5 kilograms. I mean, it's like literally weighs less than my cat. And I don't know if that means my cat is overweight, but it's small, So a lot of people said, okay, those are toys. Like the quality of those images is not going to be good. And it wasn't at the beginning, frankly, but we are vertically integrated. So we do everything in-house. We do R&D, we manufacture, operate our satellites. And the things, because we do everything in-house, each time we launch a fleet of satellites, they're just better than the ones we launched before, because we can tweak them and make them better. So we had, Kelsey probably knows more how many iterations of DOB we had, but it's like, I don't know, 15 or something. And so it was a risky business. There were investors that kind of saw the light in the tunnel, and that's kind of how it all started.
All right, we have a question for you from our online delegates. Sarah would like to know, are there any jobs or research opportunities available at Planet for space science majors?
Absolutely. We actually just hired now, it was the first newly created position, a director of science projects at Planet, a director of science. We are now recruiting like crazy. If you go on our website, we have over, I think, 70 vacancies open. There are, and worldwide, not just in the US, in Europe, in Asia, Latin America, everywhere. And a lot of them are very tech jobs, like engineering, but not all of them. There are lots of also science-related jobs. We also offer internships. We have partnerships with universities and research organizations. So there are many ways to get involved. And we also have this scheme in Europe, which is called Working Student Scheme. And I think it's just we have some sort of partnership with some universities where you, I think, work 2 days with us, which you get paid for, and then 3 days you are at the university. So this is also an interesting model. But there are many ways.
Every year, this is for a while. I guess I saw SGC through the years from different perspectives. Some things probably went very well, and some things were totally wrong. Not totally wrong, because I don't believe in that those things are incorrect. But how do you see SGC for the next 10 years, 30 years?
Okay. Well, I see my baby running it. No, I'm super proud. SGC, I think, is doing amazingly well and much more professional, much more, just having a bigger outreach, bigger impact. Davide is doing an excellent job. He's and everybody else. And he's, by the way, the first male executive director, which is a big deal because we always thought that, like, and sorry, this is a completely like sexist comment, but we thought men couldn't handle it because you have to juggle so many things and multitask, and men and multitask is not always the easiest thing. But he's proving us wrong, so we're very happy. I think one thing that I would, and I already, I think spoke with Davide and lots of other people at SGC management, let's say, that don't lose your spirit. It's great to be professional, but don't be too professional, because that's the spirit of SGC. People go to a lot of conferences that are all very stiff and very professional and very, and SGC was always like, you were going there, it was a breath of fresh air. It was crazy. There was a lot of passion. Like we're always saying, we work hard, but we play hard. I don't know, I'm not maybe gonna, this probably recorded or whatever, but the type of parties we used to do, we were famous for it, and everybody wanted to come to SGC things. You can ask Pascal, she's there. So I don't want to lose that, I want to be like, that you come into SGC and it's just like brainstorming and it's super fresh and it's provocative, and it can be unrealistic sometimes, your ideas, and it can be naive sometimes. That's what we want from you. We don't want to hear what everybody else is saying. Call it, be direct, make us, the rest of us in the industry make us accountable. If you don't like something, call us out on it. Because I think that's your job. That's the voice of this is why SGC was created, right? To offer the voice of the youth and policy, space policy, but all these space big topics. So be that voice, challenge us, and be young and be fun and like I said, be provocative. And I think I want to make sure that spirit is not gone. That when people go to SGC, that they come back from it and they're like, oh my God, like this is nuts. I loved it. And it's like, impacted me for life, because this is how I felt every time. So I hope you have the same experience as well.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for your talk. I already love Planet, but we'll talk maybe fall more about the planet, so thank you for that. My question was about impact. So, Planet has always been mission driven, as you said, and I just saw that, that Planet announced the new role, like impact officer or something along those lines. What does that mean for Planet's ability to, expand its mission when it's already been working with NGOs and governments in the past?
Yeah, that's a good question. Indeed, we have just announced, you are paying attention. We have just announced the Chief Impact Officer position on our executive team, which is newly created. Andrew, who has received that position, he actually has been with Planet. He was doing impact for a long time, but it wasn't just at that level. And now, since we're really putting this impact, this mission at the forefront of what we are all about, we need a leader for that. So Andrew, is building a team, an impact team that is all over the world, that is going to make sure that we don't only just focus on selling our data to customers, but that we're also working with those NGOs and think tanks and academia and international organizations like the UN, FAO, etc., in delivering that data in a very impactful ways, and also working with downstream economy. I think this is important also. I don't know what you guys are doing, but a big part of the business, like data is just one component. Like nobody really cares about data, frankly, if you don't know how to use it. Like people care about solutions. And we do some processing ourselves, some analytics, but we also work with a lot of partners. And I think this is really what we want. We want to have specific products that are gonna impact specific problems. So it's not just like blah, 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 data is great, but it's just like real use cases of when this data was transformed into a solution that was really a game changer. We are obviously doing a lot of artificial intelligence, indexing things. So we're counting things, trees, cars, buildings, ships. And that gives us information that is very, very useful. You can ask a question, for instance, how many trees have been counted, have been cut? I wanted to say in Dubai, but there are not many trees here, so that's not a very good example. But like in Northeast Germany between July and September, right? 2020, you're just going to get a number. These sort of things. So it's just going to be that impact program. It's going to be much more robust, much more better funded, and more impactful.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Agnieszka. That's all the time we have for questions. But yeah, another round of applause for. I love what you said about, that you're becoming a mother. Congratulations, by the way. It's amazing. Because I know a lot of probably women that maybe want to have a family as well are kind of nervous about how it affects their careers. Or
If I can say one thing about that, because this is I was just like, you have my title up there, and actually, and it's not just that I'm bragging, although I am very happy about it. This week I was promoted to Vice President of Planet of Government Affairs for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. But I'm not. Thank you so much. But the reason I'm saying is this: that it's that I was promoted while being pregnant. Planet knows, leadership knows that I'm being pregnant, and they promoted me anyway. They're investing in me, even though they know I'll be going for a few months. And I really hope that this kind of mentality, is transferred to many other companies, because often women, we underpaid. The promotion, there's a glass ceiling, and it's because of babies. I know sooner or later she's gonna start procreating and she's gone. So knowing that Planet is believing in me and treating me as a professional and promoting me during that time is a really big deal. So another big point for Planet.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just want to make clear that all of the sub-team leads part of the SGC organizing team are women, which is exciting. So,
Wow.
yeah, thank you for being like someone's elected. Appreciate it. Amazing.
Okay.